I'm fascinated with how you manage to do all that you've done in the arid tropics. So I really admire what you're doing, Wendy. Wendy Albert, thank you so much for talking with me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I just wish I'd known what I know now 20 years ago. And I would have been able to do much more because I've just recently had a couple of woofers in,
Right?
three young people. And we got so much done just in the early hours of the morning, with their muscle. I have to find a way to inspire young people around here to get into it. Because what I find is I've got all the resources now that I didn't have when I started. And that's from growing those resources and recognizing what's already there in terms of the indigenous plants and their use, how to maximize their benefit. People get frightened of pruning, but really lots of plants respond so positively to pruning, and those prunings are what makes the good soil.
Would you describe to people where you are? Where do you live and practice your amazing permaculture?
I'm in Derby,
in
the far north of Western Australia.
Yeah.
And Derby, the closest famous town is, of course, Broome, which is 200k to the south. And then Perth, the capital city, is 2,000 k's away to the south.
Wow.
The nearest other Australian big city is Darwin, of course, and that's 2,000 k's to the northeast. Whereas Bali is only about 200 k's by sea from Derby.
Right.
And one of the things about growing stuff here in this environment is that Asiatic people had been coming here for a long time. They have a history here, not just from the pearling industry, but from before that. There used to be trepang fishing and so on. And they brought with them a lot of plants, like the tamarind, and also a plant that's well known in permaculture circles called mother of cocoa, or Glycidia sepium. And when I first did permaculture, learned about permaculture and started practicing it, I looked for Glycidia sepium, or mother of cocoa plants, and I couldn't find them anywhere in Australia. Looked everywhere. And in fact, I got some seeds sent from America that didn't germinate. And then after 9 months or so of searching, and this was about August, I was at a friend's place in town, and I said to her, "What's that beautiful tree with the lovely purple flowers?" And she said, "Oh, that's that mother of cocoa." And then I found that throughout the old areas of town, both here in Derby and in Broome, there's lots of those plants. They grow everywhere, and they're really hardy. So they've survived over 100 years. And they were brought here by the early Asiatic settlers who had to grow their own food, who didn't have state ships and trucks and things bringing food from all over the country to them. They had to survive themselves. And so I was able to get cuttings and grow the Glycidia, and now I have a cocoa grove where the Glycidia, or the mother of cocoa, are mothering the baby cocoa trees, as well as a lot of other trees, because they just poke the stick in the ground and it grows if you keep it damp. And then it just grows and grows, and you just keep cutting it and adding it to the soil, because that's the other thing we need to do here, is add organic matter to the soil. And in fact, though, before we do that, we need to add some charcoal to the soil, make biochar, basically, because the nature of the soil here, it's pindan, and when the big rains come, all the nutrients wash away. So it's really important to have a layer of charcoal to start with, so that the microbes and all the little odds and ends that like to live in the soil have got their own apartment blocks and can stay and not be washed away. So that's the basics for really developing a thorough, a thriving ecosystem here.
Lovely. What struck me about visiting your site was the fact that your neighbours haven't done the same thing. They haven't been, well, you are in a bit of a dead end, so you have to go to your site to find it. But your neighbours have not been inspired to grow food or to copy your techniques. Is it because permaculture is so complicated, or what you mentioned once before in a private discussion was that it was about control? What do you think?
There's that, yes, and there's also, we're all people of habit, and we rely on our education. And people come here and they see wattle trees, and that grow so easily. They don't realize their legumes. They don't realize their value of keeping them in the soil and just pruning them to encourage growth. And so they clear everything. Just get a bulldozer in and bulldoze everything down and maybe burn it, but they don't, utilize. They burn it to ash. They don't burn it to charcoal. And then they try and plant other stuff, southern stuff. Whereas the reality is we've got to plant what grows here, what likes this environment, what can cope with. And if we want to be self-sufficient, we have to learn to eat stuff that will grow in this environment. The potatoes that we're used to from down south, they don't grow here. Only during the dry sometimes, and with a lot of care and attention. So there's that. But I do also think that control is a subconscious thing, that people don't identify with the natural world. They think they're in charge, and it's a colonial sort of mentality. It's just more colonialism of, coming in, getting control of things, and taking what we want from the land instead of respecting the land and giving back to it, and like giving back in terms of even waste, our own waste, food waste, and so on. It's that exchange. That's how nature actually works. And that's what people don't understand. People, I think, see nature as something to utilize, to use for their benefit, and they're not part of it. They don't sink into the rhythm of it and give back in the same way as nature gives to us. We can't keep getting fruit from trees if we don't put something back. And our practice is to go and buy something from the hardware put back in the soil. Some manufactured fertilizer, or, I've seen people take truckloads of cuttings, pruning their trees and so on, take them to the tip, then go to the hardware and buy mulch. Now, and that's a bit of that's just the mentality of our society, because we're trained into this essentially capitalist, economic system, that buying stuff is what you do, is the basis of how we live, not working with nature and giving and taking. It's more taking as much as possible and making as much profit as we can.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So if someone had their heart in the right place, is there a simple way for them to get started?
Yes. And it's a scalable way. Like, you can do it in your backyard. And I've been thinking through this because I'm trying to write this handbook about how to do it in the most straightforward and easiest way. And it starts in the kitchen, it starts with your own food waste. So even if you've just got a small backyard, go and dig a trench and have a bucket on your sink, put all your food waste in it, and once a day, go out and empty the food waste into the trench and cover it up. That's the easiest way. And then you can sort of upgrade from that. You can put the bokashi in. You know, it's a learning process for people. So understanding what's going on, why are we putting the food waste in the ground, and how can we utilize it to its best effect? Well, getting some bokashi bran and sprinkling it on actually in the ground and then covering it up, that's fine. I mean, it's not the, you know, the proper bokashi is to put it in a bucket and ferment it for 2 weeks. That will get you a faster result. But in the end, it goes into the ground and is covered up, mixed with the soil. So that's the easiest way to do it. And the other thing, though, is to get some charcoal. And if you can't have a fire yourself in your backyard, we can go out into the bush where there's been lots of bushfires, you know, over the last few months, because this is a time of fires. Go and collect some charcoal from the bush, chuck that in with the food waste, and that's your start. And this wet season build up is the time to start. Mind you, the other thing to do when you cover the food waste, it's good to cut some, you know, leaves of any tree you've got handy, even if it's a wattle tree or any fresh green leaves, put it, or lemongrass or something, and put it over as a mulch to keep that moist. That the other thing is to keep it moist. So that's the simplest way of starting. But if you've got a bigger area, say here we have lots of mahogany trees and lots of leaf fall. So if you want to start an area, rake up the mahogany leaves, burn them just until they're charcoal, put the fire out, then start putting the food waste or manure you've got on the line or on the bed, just as a simple way of making a garden bed. And you can do the same thing in the big pot and just fill it up with leaves, whatever you've got, and then start putting your food waste in that. And if you haven't got soil, if you're in a unit or something, find a friend who has got soil and start building your pot in that way. And that, doing it like that, is a way of using your food waste. That's one of the big things to me, is utilizing that food waste, getting it into some soil, mixing it up and letting it rot. There's a great quote from Sophie Strand that I really like. It's, rot is the womb of life. It's tapping into that process that's important.